it came from the bulldozer. Ah! What's going on, everybody? So, today, Homer shirt, we're going to talk about why everybody on this planet, not everybody, some people, why some people have this thing where they buy a bike, they'll ride it for about 6-7 months or so, and then they usually stop riding the bike. They'll sell it on Marketplace or, you know, quietly get rid of it, something like that. It happens a lot more than you think. So, from what I've learned over the past couple years, is the most actual reason as to why people do this is, one of the biggest reasons, is fear. And what usually happens in that first 6 months, which is the same thing I've seen with quite a few people, what'll happen is somebody will be riding, they'll catch a big pothole, it'll be wet and that rain will kick their back tire out, or they'll grab a fistful of front brake and they'll feel their whole back end raise up and they get scared, which is a normal human reaction to something like that if you don't know what you're doing. So they get afraid and it scares them, and then at that point they think something as minor as what they just done is deadly. So something as minor as what they just done is deadly and can hurt them very, very badly, very, very easily. So what this does is it makes them question whether or not they actually want to ride a motorcycle. And the people who end up selling them, the answer is no. And there's nothing wrong with that. Rocks. But there's nothing wrong with being afraid. That's completely fine. But given that, a lot of people also end up selling their bike after something like that. Another big thing is you get an older gentleman or a bigger gentleman or woman, either way, who buy an aggressive sport bike. And what ends up happening is after about 15 to 20 minutes of riding, their body hurts. And they realize that riding hunched over on a bike or something like that makes them uncomfortable, which again is natural. You don't want to be uncomfortable because you're uncomfortable and then you're not happy. This is the few times I've ever seen no cars coming this direction. And of course, all of them are coming that way. I need you to let go, please. Illegal shit. But, joy of a motorcycle. We're back. But, so, what we were talking about is older people or bigger people buying bikes that they are uncomfortable on, like aggressive sport bikes. And I'm not saying like bigger people or older people can't ride them, but I'm talking about like with older gentlemen or women. Usually their wrists hurt a little more, and their bodies, if they're not used to it, it hurts to slouch over. It's not saying they can't by any means, it's just saying that normally they don't. But that's another big reason, is just choosing the wrong type of bike. Or even if you're more of a set up, cruise, relax kind of guy or girl, and you buy a sport bike instead of buying like a cruiser or a trail bike, or if you prefer to ride on the dirt and you buy a sport bike as opposed to buying a dirt bike. There's just a bunch of... My brakes are actually working. That's weird. They haven't been. Maybe my master cylinder's not bad. That's good news. Back to what I was saying. Buying the wrong type of bike. A big thing will be that. But the last point that... Well, I guess second to last point. There's two more points. The first one is gear and parts. And whenever you buy one of these fuckers, you want to mod it and make it yours. Like me, my first thing I do every time I buy one is I paint it. This one's currently purple. because purple is my favorite color and they look dope. But gear wise, helmets are not cheap. Gloves are fairly cheap actually. Boots and pants and a jacket, if you choose to wear one, are not cheap. They are usually quite expensive. A helmet usually, I mean, I've bought some helmets for $200. I've seen people buy them for $1,000. They range in prices, but none of them that are good are cheap. And that is something you learn very quickly if you buy a cheap one, is it's not very good. Along with gloves and jackets and pants. Most of the time, if they are cheap, they are not good. Beyond that, another big thing is the weather. Because even in gorgeous weather, whenever it's 80 degrees outside, you don't predict the stop and go traffic of sometimes it's actually still pretty fucking hot. Like while you're moving on a bike in 20 or in 80 degree weather, it's great. When you stop, it does get hot. The bike gets hot. Air around you gets hot. It's not something you think about due to the fact of your car has an air conditioner, your car has a heater. You stay comfortable in those things. But on a bike, you do not. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. Those rocks. Shit. But in terms of me personally, I love it. I love feeling everything outside. I love all of it. Some people do not. If you get it on a 50-degree day and you're riding at 60 miles an hour, it feels like 20 degrees and it sucks if you don't dress properly. I usually don't. I usually grab a hoodie and then I just freeze my balls off the whole way of the ride. Still worth it in my opinion, but not as much. But you can't ride these things effectively in the snow. Hardly at all. Unless you buy special tires. Now if you buy an adventure bike you can. But like sport bikes or cruisers, you might as well leave them in the garage because you're not going to get far. Or you're going to shit yourself about 100 times. But in those eyes, it's whatever. Now rain, you can ride these things all day in the rain. They are water resistant. You're not going to hurt them. I think it's anything past like 2005. Pretty much all of your wires are sealed. So like you're not going to mess it up riding in the rain. You're going to get wet and you're going to get cold. Because once you get wet, imagine being wet standing in front of a fan. It's manageable, but it's cold. And sometimes it sucks. But that's another big reason that nobody keeps these things for over 6-7 months, is because once you realize, I am happy my brake's working. It helps if we're in first. But that's another big thing, is once you realize these things aren't great on all weathers. They can do it, you can, but it's not fun. And you're not always gonna have a great time. Now you can have a good time in the rain. Like I've had plenty of fun rides even when it's raining. I mean, you can still do the majority of things. You have to be slightly more careful, but you can still do it. With the whole weather thing and stuff like that. Hey, look, it's a me. It's a me, a biker guy. But yeah, weather's another big part of why a lot of people end up selling a bike, and that's understandable. Bikes were not made to be your main form of transportation. They are actually, if you can look at them into a consideration of like what the insurance views them as I've been told by a couple different insurance agencies, they're actually considered toys. Kind of like a boat or a jet ski. They are considered toys. They're not considered an actual vehicle in insurance sense. But to what we were saying, that's a lot of the main reasons. Now, like, to elaborate on them, a lot of people, like on the danger thing, they feel that back tire slip, a car pulls out, you know, something else that kind of happens. Like, I've had it happen. It's scary, and I understand it. They open their eyes and they fully realize, like, okay, that's scary. And then it makes you question and wonder whether you want to ride a bike. Does anybody else look at their shadow to see if their tag's still on? Mine's held on with zip ties. Typical Gixxer thing, I think. But yeah, so like most people, once they once they realize what could happen, can happen, will happen, may happen, they get afraid. And what's the best way to be safe from something you're scared of? Don't do it. So, like I've said, I understand, I do. But for me personally, I love my bike, I like riding. To counteract most of these things, one of the best things you can do is practice. Practice riding, practice, you know, you're back. I used to, for the longest time, whenever I learned to ride, I used to go in a parking lot, get going about 20, and lock my rear tire, just so that I knew how the bike would act as it was out of my control. If I wasn't able to do it, I knew how this bike was going to react anytime I needed it. This one, per se, I haven't done it as much on, just because, you know, I've done it so much on my other one. I understand where my biting points on my brakes are. You know, practice makes perfect, and perfection takes time. So the more you practice doing something, like, say, riding, or getting good at wheelies, or, you know, learning how to brake, the more you practice doing that, the more comfortable you become at doing that action. Like, if you spend an hour a day doing one thing for a year, you become better than like 60% of the population at doing that one thing, which is crazy to think about. So all you have to do is just take the time, take the effort into putting it, treat it like you would like a job, right? You go to a job your first day, you're not that good at it, unless you've done it before, but you're not that good at it. Or like me with trying to do this whole YouTube thing. I'm not very good at it right now. I'm taking the time and learning and trying to figure things out, and eventually I will get better, as you will with riding. The only way to get better at riding is riding. Everybody has always said that the best, that you can watch a million videos on how to ride a bike, and you can. You can watch a million videos and learn every single thing you want to, but until you actually get on the bike and experience the bike, you will never understand. And it's a very good concept, because bikes are great and they're fun, but you have to learn on them. You have to experience the bike. So the best way to avoid that whole, you know, I bought a bike 8 months ago. I bought a bike 8 months ago and now I'm gonna sell it because I had this happen, or I'm afraid, or I realize it's an inconvenience. So, like I said, the inconvenience part, unless you are comfortable riding in the rain or anything like that, it is gonna be slightly inconvenient, because they're not as convenient as a car. I can't get out on this thing while it's snowing. I can't get out on this thing while it's pouring to rain. I mean, you can, but it's not as easy. The more you are doing something uncomfortable, the more comfortable it becomes. Like learning. The more you learn how this bike operates and how your bike will brake and how your bike will turn whenever you give it a shit ton of gas or something like that, the more comfortable you will become. I'm so mad I couldn't go up there. The more comfortable you do become on it. And it's very common to do it. So that's kind of just all I wanted to talk about, is like the people who do give up. I understand some people's points. Like if you're afraid or you're not this life's not for everybody. Riding a bike is not for everyone. And it's definitely not for the weak of heart. Because 80% of the reason that these things are so much fun, gravel, pay attention, 80% of the reason that these things are so much fun is because there's a risk to them. There's a risk and a reward to riding these things. On paper, there is no reward, but there is a reward to it, and you will know if you ever ride a bike. But that's just kind of all I wanted to talk about. Just if you're afraid of your bike, or you're afraid and can't learn on it, or whatever, just take your time. Everybody learns at their own pace. Everybody's comfortable at their own time. You don't, just because your buddy hopped on a 1000 doesn't mean you have to. Go get on a 600 or a 400 or a Grom for that matter. Do whatever you want that makes you feel comfortable. Have a good day. into Civics. Civics are odd creatures. That's all I want to talk about, guys. Y'all have a good one. And I'll see you next time. As we have no rear brake again. That may be air in the lines.
I'll be the last one left when the lights go out.